Hey folks, well, hope you're doing well. Let me see, this one will be airing on the 1st of March, already through the month of February. Now, in March, we have a very special guest coming to visit with us, Dr. Robert Williams, Miracle Making Ministries back in Augusta, Georgia. Incredible friend. First time he came out here was with Dr. Long many years ago. And I think that you'll find him to be an incredible portion. He has a ministry that works with, he has a clinic there that doctors that have retired volunteer. He does a great deal of ministry to a very needy population and has been blessed, is very involved in mission work in Africa and other places. It'll be good. He's also on the board of Luther Rice College and Seminary. He's a good friend, and I think you'll enjoy him, and I hope you'll set aside the weekend of the 17th of March through the 19th. Sunday is the 19th. He'll be here speaking on Saturday and then again on Sunday. So if you can, make it a point. Listen, I just want you to think about the issue of just moral goodness. One of the words in the Old Testament, as you probably know, in the Old Testament, the Hebrew language, every word basically comes from, it's a 3-letter word. It has 3 letters in it. And then they build off of that. And then also there's vowel points. But the word yashar means to be straight, or it's translated upright. But the basic meaning is just simply to be straight. So you're going to find that when God is being described in Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 4, it says he's the rock, his way is perfect. It says that all of his ways are just, a God of faithfulness without injustice. And then it goes on to say righteous and upright, straight. I think it speaks of God's honesty. God is just simply honest. And one of the things that we find about God is that he expects the same of us. Now, as believers, this is something that really can stand out in the midst of the world. When, for example, in the New Testament, a word that I think relates to this from a moral viewpoint, especially in the Gospels, is an adjective kalos, which means good, but it speaks of goodness more from a moral sense. So when it speaks of good fruit, or the fact that there is a good and honest heart in Luke 8:15, the same word and its derivative or cognate is being used there. It speaks of moral goodness. It's a morally good heart that will be receptive to the Word of God and will produce fruit, some 30, 60, some 100-fold there. And you'll notice that what tends to choke the seed in Matthew 13:22 is, the riches of this world, the anxieties of this life. In other words, it's all the things that pull on us in this world. How can I just simply be good, be right, go the straight way? Well, I believe that God has placed it in our heart. And as believers, as we grow in the Word, we know this all the more clearly. The Word of God says in Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 29 that God has made man upright. God made us to walk in a way that would be consistent with his nature. But it says that we sought out many inventions. The word could be translated in other ways, but it just speaks of the fact that we've kind of rationalized our way out of that. And that's something that we all do. Most of our life, and the problems in our life, we've rationalized our way into them. They didn't just come at us. We kind of rationalized our way into them. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't some situations that passively we had nothing to do with, although we probably chose to be in that environment. But anyway, sometimes innocently these things happen. But for the majority of the problems that we have, especially as adults, we've kind of rationalized our way into them. And we all know that there's a good way. Paul spoke using this adjective in Romans chapter 7 when he said, I know what to do good, and I know the law is good. It has a moral demand. I know that I should be satisfied, but I can't. I'm corrupt. I'm evil. I find the sin within me. He actually goes on to call himself a wretched man in Romans 7:24. How do we just get to that straight way? I think it just simply has to do with realizing that it has to be Christ in everything. He has to be the object of our affections, the object of our attention, the object of our choices. And if so, I believe that there's a benefit that comes with that. Not only the peace that we know comes with it, having peace with God, but also the fruitfulness, the fact that we actually begin to produce fruit, some 30, some 60, some 100-fold, because the world didn't deceive us into catering to it. It didn't grab our attention. Christ did. We set our affections where they belong in Colossians chapter 3 and verse 1 and on. I hope today, just in the moments of this day, let's listen to what the Spirit of God is saying. Let Christ be the reason, even in the most mundane thing that we do. Let Christ be our object to honor him. Let's choose to have him decide what is right or wrong for us, not what is acceptable for the world. There's lots of different ways that the world goes. But what's right with him? If you do that, your mind is renewed, you're being transformed, and you and I are living out a testimony. Till next time, friends, God bless you.